Fever guard reveals advice for Caitlin Clark to avoid wasted season. One Indiana Fever guard relayed what she told Caitlin Clark about overcoming the mental toll her injuries could take. Indiana Fever star guard Caitlin Clark never missed a game due to injury during her 4 seasons spent playing college basketball with the Iowa Hawkeyes. She also didn't miss a single game during her WNBA rookie season in 2024. Therefore, it's no surprise that Clark, having been limited to 13 games in the 2025 WNBA season because of various soft tissue injuries to her lower body, took almost as much of a mental toll on number 22 as a physical toll. While Clark always put on a brave face and continued to support her Indiana teammates as they made their run to Game 5 of the WNBA semifinals, fans who kept an eye on her during games could clearly see how badly she yearned to be back on the basketball court, helping orchestrate the Fever's offense. Sydney Colson shares leadership advice given to Caitlin Clark. Luckily for Clark, she had numerous veterans around her who could give her words of wisdom and help her navigate through handling being sidelined, which was completely foreign territory. And Fever guard Sydney Colson, who was also sidelined because of a torn ACL she suffered in August, shared some of the advice she gave to Clark last season during an October 9th episode of Good Follow. "It was good to see a lighter side of her," Colson said of being Clark's teammate. "Especially when she was injured, you're having to adjust your mindset. You're having to get mentally tougher because she didn't have a bad injury before. So you're having to watch your team from the outside. I would be talking to her a lot. Make sure you're still being vocal. You don't want to lose this time with your teammates. Because you're injured or sidelined, you're not still using that opportunity to lead or to grow relationships. Don't let it be a wasted season because you can't physically contribute," Colson added. I think her desire to become a better leader and to come back, because there were times where she thought she was coming back and then it wasn't happening, or another little thing would happen that turned into a big thing. But to see her fun side, that was an important part. To see her being jovial and lighthearted and having fun with her teammates, I don't think that was a side people saw a lot last season. And so I was telling her, more of that, Colson concluded. It's awesome to see a league veteran like Colson being willing and able to impart this type of wisdom on Clark during what was a frustrating second WNBA season. The Indiana Fever locker room still carried the faint echo of sneakers squeaking on hardwood, a reminder of a season that had promised fireworks but ended in the quiet hum of what-ifs. Caitlin Clark sat at her locker, the hum of post-game interviews fading as teammates trickled out one by one. The rookie sensation, hailed as a generational talent, the logo queen, and the spark of a WNBA revolution, had finished her first full season in the pros. But to her, something still felt unfinished. That's when one of her veteran teammates, a fellow guard and survivor of the league's grueling reality, stopped by. Her name was Erica Wheeler, the steady, fiery voice of experience on a team that had lived through both the droughts and the brief bursts of Indiana sunshine. "Hey," Wheeler said, leaning on the locker next to Clark's. "Don't let this one feel wasted." Clark turned, curious. "What do you mean?" "You had a hell of a year," Wheeler began. "But trust me, this league doesn't care about last year or next year. It only respects what you build when no one's watching. The off-seasons, that's where you make sure your rookie season isn't just a headline." Her words carried weight. They weren't criticism, they were survival notes. The unseen game. Wheeler wasn't talking about workouts or jump shots, not exactly. She was talking about balance, the thing rookies rarely find in their first season. Clark had been everywhere. Highlight reels, press conferences, endorsement shoots, record books. Her fame had grown faster than the Fever's win total, and while the spotlight burned bright, it could also scorch. "Every season can be wasted if you don't learn from it," Wheeler said, her tone half mentor, half sisterly. "This league's full of players who thought their talent would do the work. But it's your habits, your mindset, that's what turns talent into a career." Clark nodded. She knew Wheeler wasn't wrong. The jump from college to pro had been like trading a symphony for a street fight. Fewer cheers, more bruises, and defenses that treated every possession like personal revenge. She had learned that every team had someone ready to test her toughness, physically and mentally. Every arena had fans waiting to see if she'd crumble or conquer. And while her averages and accolades said conquer, her reflection after a tough loss sometimes whispered still learning. Building the bridge. "You know what I did after my first full season?" Wheeler asked. Clark shook her head. "I made a list of all the ways I got in my own way," she said. "Turnovers, bad reads, letting refs get in my head, whatever. Then I made a second list, how I could control the uncontrollable. Things like leadership, communication, work ethic. That's how I stopped having wasted seasons. Clark smiled faintly. So lists, huh? Wheeler grinned. You'd be surprised how powerful it is to face yourself on paper. Write it all out, the good, the bad, the noisy. Then decide who you want to be when the cameras are gone. There was something poetic about it. Caitlin had always been a creator, of plays, of energy, of stories. Maybe this was just another kind of creation, rebuilding herself between seasons, crafting the version of Caitlin Clark who wouldn't just survive in the WNBA, but reshape it. A league that tests legends. The WNBA doesn't hand out respect easily. It demands it, earned through sweat, resilience, and time. For every highlight reel moment Clark produced, there was a defender studying her film, plotting the next trap, the next shove-off balance. Wheeler had seen it all before, bright stars dimming under the pressure of expectation. You're carrying a whole new era of fans on your shoulders, Wheeler said. But don't forget, you're still carrying yourself too. You can't give the game everything if you've got nothing left to refill your tank. It wasn't just basketball advice. It was life advice, disguised as a veteran's warning. Clark had seen it, players who burned out before they broke through. The grind could hollow you if you didn't protect what made you love it in the first place. The Fever's future, and Clark's choice. When Caitlin Clark walked into the WNBA, the Fever were a rebuilding team. Hungry but still figuring out who they were. Now, one season later, they were a story in motion. Fans packed arenas again. The Fever logo had become cool. The young roster had found its rhythm, its voice. Still, Wheeler's advice lingered. A wasted season wasn't about losing games. It was about losing direction. For Clark, avoiding that meant more than just training. It meant deepening her connection with teammates, mastering the mental pace of the league, and remembering why she loved the game when it was just her, a ball and a dream.